Hello, and I am live. Welcome, everyone, to the April 20th, 2025 Easter stream, the Hippity Hoppity stream. Uh, I did a little bit of work today. Actually, how'd the weekend start? Saturday, I went up to White Plains, then down to Virginia, which was a long day, a very long day. Interestingly, Blue Origin, the Jeff Bezos space venture, has a building down there right alongside the highway as you go into the airport. And there's the last letter of Origin has fallen off. So it says Blue Origin, and then the end part is just white light bulbs, just naked white light bulbs there on top of the building. Very, very much showing your ass, Jeffrey. Things not looking quite as spectacular as they could be. I got a lot of stuff to talk about that. Tons of videos. That stuff's been blasted all over the internet. But Saturday was like a 600-mile day. Today, all they had for me was a whatever, White Plains. I did that, and then I was hanging around, and I came back. Spring is here. My allergies are going, so I'm gonna wipe my eyes. My eyes are feeling sticky all the time, and every now and then I just burst out in tears, just crying all over the place. That's probably not going to happen here, but it happens. I don't know. It happens when I'm driving. It's really kind of annoying. Anyway, since you're here, make sure to smash the like button, because I like watching them subtract the likes from the streams. I think last week, whatever the hell the last one was on the road, I watched the likes go up to like 3 to 4, and then it went back down to 3. So, and one of them was me. They can't subtract mine. So I'm like, I try to propagandize people into tricking you into thinking this is a much better show than it really is. But yeah, so they still do that. They still do shit like that. And I think that is such it's a pointless fucking exercise, a pointless exercise. But there's so much going on. This is really the Easter Bunny, who does not exist, by the way. But the Easter Bunny has brought me so many videos, so much to talk about, so much going on that we have to share. We have to share. One of the things, what is this? This was an interesting thing. Obviously, China in the news, but China just did this super duper nuclear reactor, and as if that were not enough, there was where was the other one? There was one. Oh, I didn't have. No, that's, forget about it. Stand by. I'll just upload it. This shows how highly skilled I am. Here it is. There it is. How highly skilled and technically proficient I really am. It seems that China has found millions of tons of uranium in the the Ordos Desert. A find that not only allows it to stop importing the key mineral from the United States, but also completely changes the rules of the game in the global nuclear market. China right now is just kicking the fucking shit out of America. It is beating us pretty bad, and I got a bunch of videos on it. And I posted. I try not to do this on Facebook, but I have to tolerate Ziggy the Pollock and my relatives with all their pro Trump shit that and occasionally I'm thinking I got to lob something back. So I put this up the other day, and this is when I looked at this, I thought, do you remember when Trump was considered the master troll? Do you remember when they pointed the camera at him and he would like destroy somebody, or he would troll the media, or he would do something, and now he's getting his ass kicked. He is rightfully getting his ass kicked, and that is no lie. I'm not sure entirely where this is going to end up. And by the way, right before you hit, go live, we got a pump for ants. We got a tiny pump for ants. Bitcoin's at 87K. So on a Sunday night. So I wonder where that's going to go. But man, the China trolling stuff is like fucking unreal. The China trolling stuff is unreal. And it starts with the relatively simple stuff. This is like the superficial stuff. This is China telling you how badly you're getting ripped off, as if the people on this channel didn't already know. But for most Americans, they don't realize how badly they're getting ripped off.
The Chinese are fighting back in more ways than just tariffs. A series of TikToks are going viral about shopping directly with Chinese suppliers, skipping over and leaving out the American middlemen like Amazon, Alibaba, AliExpress, and even luxury stores. Chinese factories and suppliers are even making videos directly targeting the American consumers, showing them exactly how much the goods are to make and how American companies are scamming them out of money. One viral example shows the costs of Lululemon's activewear. The Chinese suppliers say for the $100 leggings you can actually get for $5 or $6. And one creator said the Chinese are about to out-capitalism the US. The videos from Chinese suppliers also cover luxury goods like designer handbags, showing them the production process and highlighting the craftsmanship. This comes at a time where the Louis Vuitton factory in Texas, which was opened by Donald Trump and LVMH bosses, has been ranked globally as one of the worst performing factories. Due to poor craftsmanship and errors, they're wasting around 40% of all the leather hides, which is more than double the expected rate. There's also accounts of workers using hot melting pins on canvas to conceal errors, as staff are encouraged to work as fast as possible. They even struggled to recruit workers for this factory in Texas as there was a shortage of skilled workers in the US. This is a scary moment where we are witnessing two capitalist giants and the right to consume anything whenever people want. But I do hope this shows the premiums that we are paying and that we need to know more about the craftsmanship, quality and provenance of our things.
What a lovely man. What a lovely, lovely English man. But he makes the point that you're getting ripped off. You're paying $1,000 for something that costs $10. And there's a bunch. I had a whole bunch of other videos. I'm not going to show them, but you can apparently fly to China and buy a certain amount of any item, like luxury goods or whatever, and bring it home as your person for gifts for friends. And I am seriously thinking about booking a fucking flight to Singapore and buying like 200 fucking iPhones at $10 each and selling them on Facebook. I'm not sure if I could do that. Like, I'm not sure if I could get rid of them on this end. That's my point. But like, buy like 100, 200 of those $10 iPhone 16s. And seriously, I'd be on a plane next week. I'd fucking just fly there, meet with the guy. Hey, we're here. Let's eat a bowl of rice. Let's talk about what's going on. And then get 200 iPhones that I'm bringing home to my friends and then sell them all on Facebook for, whatever, $100 or $150 a piece instead of the $1,500 a piece. I'm very seriously thinking about doing stuff like that. But the point is, you've got, you got people fucking working 3 jobs, driving for DoorDash, driving for Uber for 60 cents a mile, and thinking about how they're going to afford a $1,600 iPhone when the fucking iPhone costs $10 to make, and it actually really costs $8 to make. But the factory takes $2 profit, and in a time of ever lowering standards of quality of material wealth in the West, China's showing you how much better you could live with these consumer items. Admittedly, listen, these people should be buying Bitcoin. They should not be buying fucking iPhones or handbags or whatever. But when you understand that that you are 100% being ripped off, like on levels that were previously thought impossible, man, you are. This is causing the Chinese are really. They've got a couple of really good attack lines of attack, and that one is like the superficial one. I did not realize until I saw earlier this week that that the China alt-right pipeline. If you remember the alt-right, do you guys remember the alt-right? How frustrated, angry white incels are become radicalized. Well, apparently, the Chinese have figured out. I don't know. Apparently, the alt-right radicalized China, and I did not know that that it had done that, but it has. And this video, I don't know. I'm not sure who put it up, but this is like this one. This one was brutal, and it's one of many to come.
This is a post from a Chinese national saying, you guys are all blaming China, you're blaming us, but it's really your own fault, and America now needs a revolution.
They rob you blind, and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs ship your job to China, not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, and mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodged tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare cost, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave property made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade.
But only the Chinese people benefit from the trade. So that was brutal, man. That was pretty bad. That was pretty accurate, factually accurate. So the Chinese are not fucking around. They are looking to win this. But what people, certainly the red team, blue team people don't get, and that even the extreme people don't get, is nobody gives a shit what you call your political fairy tale. Yeah. Oh, we're nationalists. We're third positionists. We're national socialists. Nobody gives a fuck, right? Like nobody actually gives a fuck. What do you want done, and what are you going to pay to have done? What are you paying us to have done? You want simple shit done? You pay a little bit. You want complex, fucking high-tech shit where you're gonna have to pay a lot more people, a lot more. The incentive structure, right? I want you to do this. Here's the incentive, right? Everyone knows that do this or I'll kill you produces nothing. Produces nothing but misery, fucking gulags, and fucking mass graves. And China went that route in the early days of communism. Do this or we'll kill you. Cultural revolution, this, that, all of this, do what I say or there will be a negative consequence, really did not fucking help China. But China figured out that do this and I'll give you a reward works way better. Where's the, did I already dump it already? Oh, shit. I already dumped it. I'm trying to find trying to like not overload my fucking crummy little phone. My crummy little phone when I could go to China and get a $10 fucking iPhone 16. But I showed a video last week where some news broad asked the Chinese foreign minister or something like, "Are you afraid of the tariffs?" Blah 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 blah. And he says, we're not afraid of anything. China's got a 5,000-year history, and blah 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 blah. And that's true. China does have probably mostly true. China has a 5,000-year history. But here's the thing about China's 5,000-year history. For 5,000 years, China was a fucking shithole. I mean, it was great if you were the emperor, but for everyone else, it was a fucking nightmare. China had never successfully expanded beyond its borders. It's got its ass kicked by the fucking Mongols. And then later, when the Western powers became interested in China, China got its shit pushed in by the West. China has never successfully expanded beyond its own borders. And the reason why is because of that crappy incentive structure, right? They never had a good incentive structure, even though, yes, they invented paper money. Yes, they invented the abacus. Yes, they invented the crossbow. Not really, but whatever. That's a subject for another day. But they had clever people. They had gunpowder. They invented gunpowder, and they couldn't, even with gunpowder, a portable computer and paper money, they still couldn't conquer the world, right? So China has not been capable of flexing, of really projecting power for most of those 5,000 years. For the last 50 years, once they figured out a decent incentive structure, boom, now China's a big deal. But they were not for 4,950 of those 5,000 years. But they seem to have it figured out pretty well now, and they're making the most of it. And when I say they're really making the most of it, they're doing some serious kung fu. They're doing some kung fu fighting that's beyond, alt-right shit posting and beyond economics, right? China is fucking with the people who actually control the U.S. and the nature of the forever wars. And I didn't know this. And again, what's really kind of shocking to me is how plainly they're putting, how in your face they're putting it. And another China video with this, they got some pretty girl to say this. They're even smart in how they market it. You know what I mean? They market their tech through that cool black kid with the 10 million followers on Instagram, and then they're telling you, fuck you to your face with a pretty girl who speaks real nice English. And what this girl's saying is way more important than the price of handbags or how you've been screwed over by your oligarchs.
China has just deployed a powerful weapon against the U.S., and it's not missiles or warships. After Trump's new tariffs, China hit back with a brutal move, completely shutting down exports of rare earth minerals and magnets, which means that the U.S. will struggle to build its advanced weapons like the F-35. So why should you care? Well, these aren't just random rocks. They're the invisible backbone of America's military power and the tech that you can't live without. James Litinsky, who is the CEO of America's only rare earth mine, put it bluntly. The critical inputs for our future warfare supply chain are shutting down. While politicians play games with trade, China has quietly cornered the market on 99% of heavy rare earth metals. These are materials that make missiles fly, drones surveil, and your Tesla accelerate. Most American companies keep zero stockpiles of these materials. Zero. Production lines could grind to a halt within weeks. The Pentagon has been sounding the alarm for years, but really nobody listens. Now, China's message is crystal clear to the U.S. We control your military and tech future with materials that you can't make or find anywhere else. America's greatest vulnerability isn't on a battlefield. It's on a spreadsheet of minerals that most Americans have never heard of.
So there's a little country in the Middle East that really, really, really needs America to have a shit ton of high-tech missiles. I showed that Navy guy crying last week, oh, our enemies shoot $10,000 drones at us, which we shoot down with $2 million missiles. Well, that probably sucks to be the U.S. Navy, but it's going to suck even more when you don't have $2 million missiles to shoot down. You're going to have to bring all them boats way far out of the Red Sea. And as we all know, that's not an acceptable change in American foreign policy. So the boys in Tel Aviv are really, really unhappy about the boys in Beijing, and how this gets sorted out is going to be super, super interesting, because the the need to do something about China, to crush China, to make China submit to the West, meaning for China to understand that the world really looks, that this is the way the world really looks, right? That this is the true world order, and that China has no place in it other than as a subservient, submissive supplier of whatever it is that creature wants anywhere on the planet. Now, of course, Trump is the one that's gonna historically wear the black eye if this thing pushes much further. But if we run out of the ability to project force, because we don't have literally the materials to make the whiz bang super weapons, man, it's gonna be super easy. And all of these guys, all of your friends, like Glenn Beck,
to stand with the Jew?
you're going to need some rare earth minerals. And
I'd love to go to Israel. I mean, how historical is that? But I just can't deal with the Alex Jones is, going to Israel to get his orders or whatever. It's just like, I mean, I would love to touch the Wailing Wall.
yeah, I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. There won't be an Israel if there's no America to protect. And so I really don't know how this gets sorted out. We're putting a brave face on right now, but if China really does cut off our ability to make high-tech weapons, that means they cut off America's ability to protect that brave little democracy in the Middle East, because the Western world, unfortunately, has been, certainly neutered, but beyond neutered. Our friends Chip Chip Cheerio across the pond in England, I showed you they had the gay parade with, I don't know, just random English dudes. Well, apparently that's not the only one they had. So listen, the police domestically are the action arm, the enforcement arm, the way that the elites project power into the general population. And as you can see, in England, they are completely owned from top to bottom. They know who signs their paychecks, and they know who is going to fund their pensions. So they will wave the flag, they'll wear the little things, they'll dance to the fucking song. This is the world this is the Western world, and China knows it, and they're definitely looking to fuck with shit. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough. There's what do we got? What do we have? I guess we got to talk about Katy Perry. Katy Perry, poor thing. Katy Perry, things not going so well for her. Everybody knows I'm a moon landing never happened guy, and if you think space is fake, you're right. And let's go with the most recent, and I mean, this is so fucking bad. If you looked at the comment section of, at least of Instagram, where I'm on that platform a lot, they got fucking roasted by these people. They got roasted completely with what do I got?
99 red balloons floating in the summer sky. Panic bell, it's red alert. There's something here from somewhere else. The war machine springs to life, opens up one eager eye, focusing it on the sky.
Where did the capsule land? Did it land in with all the shrubbery, or did it land in an area with not that much shrubbery? I don't know. And apparently, the people who filmed it don't really know either. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that's not even close to all. It's not even close to all. Let's go to
We're going to skip ahead to after the capsule supposedly parachuted to the ground with his celebrity still inside. The big mistake was that the women inside prematurely opened the capsule, and the Blue Origin handler rushed over to the door to tell them to close it. Let's watch.
Oh my God! I saw the stars. I saw the curvature of the Earth. You know what's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart.
And is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of hard to see.
Then about 2 minutes, 45 seconds later, Jeff Bezos goes up to the capsule with a special tool to unlock the capsule. Let's watch again.
Good? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
She didn't really close it again.
As I have said before, if they faked one part of it, then we can rightfully assume they faked all of it. Thanks for watching.
Oh yeah, they faked all of it, but not nearly as good as when who was the one that did the moon landing? The guy who did the film 2001. Yeah, the great Hollywood directors who could, have continuity, who realized that the shot has to look the same in every frame. Those guys are gone. You have a bunch of absolutely shitty fucking production assistants, all of whom are desperate for any fucking job, and they'll do this fucking this space hoax, Katy Perry space hoax. And just to remind you, Elon Musk gets 5.9, his SpaceX gets $5.9 billion for their CGI rockets that land vertically, and Blue Origin gets $2.4 billion of your tax money to hoax you with that incredibly shitty, like mind-blowingly fucking bad fucking space thing. And even the fucking drugged out, Gen Z fucking people who have never lived life that, further than 6 inches from a fucking screen, even they're roasting them all the time. And this leads to, you say, well, what does this have to do with Bitcoin, James? It has a lot to do with Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, because these fucking people inject themselves into all sorts of places they don't belong. Ultimately, this is the end. This is the end. Bitcoin 2025. That's right. The next Bitcoin conference. And I was never a big fan of these stupid things. But occasionally you'd get a couple of good sound bites out of them. Yes, the Blue Origin New Shepard capsule will be on display at Bitcoin 2025. I guess everybody needs a laugh. And you could see on the left, the guy on the left is that guy, what's his name? Ross, the one that the Jewish guy that has started the Silk Road website where he was soliciting contract murder and selling drugs. That guy, Ross, whatever the fuck his name was, I forget. Natalie Brunell, kind of our girl. I wish she was more of our girl. In the center and on the far right, Michael Saylor. When I tell you these Bitcoin people, and I'm very disappointed with these are the creme de la creme of the Bitcoin content creators. Like, there's no sovereignty yet. Sovereignty has not yet been achieved. That these fucking people can do this, it's just insulting fucking stunt. And everyone has to play along with it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has to pretend like it really fucking happened. Nobody says, what the fuck? Fuck this shit. No fucking way. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to fucking pretend like that's a fucking space capsule. It's a bouncy castle. You know what I mean? It's one of them blow up fucking bouncy things you bring to a kid's fucking you bring to a kid's birthday party. That's not a real space capsule, but they're going to go along with it because, you know, if you're hanging around with billionaires, you know, your life is probably going to improve, or you think it's going to improve, and you want to be close to them, you know what I mean? And when you get close to them, what are you going to say?
Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga.
And you'll play along with the space hoax. You'll play along with the space hoax and whatever else they want you to do. But that is not something I would ever fucking put up with. There was no way how anybody with a fucking spine would tolerate that shit. It's just on. But this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in, and these are the people that think they lead us, but they do not. All of this has to happen. We got to go through this in order to come out on the other side. But and the other side is going to be very, very different. I got some video, some more serious video than. Well, wait a minute. Okay, the flip side of Trump versus the Chinks. And they don't like the way this is going. They already don't like the way this is going. And they're brand testing an American favorite. What's her name? What the fuck's her name? Andrea Ocasio-Cortez, whatever. AOC. That one. They're trotting her out, and they're bringing her around the country to on the Battling the Oligarchs tour as she hops from private jet to private jet. But I got some video. I saw some video that they're not really showing you because they're trying to do this. Her and Bernie Sanders, I don't know why they fucking saddled her. Maybe just to make her look younger and more dynamic. That fucking corpse of a fucking dude are going out to do this. Oh, we're going to flag Trump and we're going to be anti-oligarchs. Thanks, we're hopping on a private jet, leaving. But the crowd that they play to, and there's an enormous anti-Trump crowd. There's an enormous fucking anti-Trump crowd. The crowd that they play to kind of drags them. And when I say drags them, it means the sentiment of the crowd is in completely opposite of what is being said by the rock stars of the podium. And here's 37 seconds showing things are not going quite according to the narrative. See, they want the crowds and they want the chanting, you know, because you got to be a populist. You have to have widespread appeal, like Trump used to do. You know, he used to say CNN is fake news, and then everyone would chant CNN is fake news, and he'd say Make America Great Again, and he'd say Make America Great Again. So they're trying to recreate that, but the left wing version of it with AOC and Bernie. The problem is the people who actually subscribe to that political fantasy world want to see Palestinians have their own state and self-determination and live in peace and not be genocided. Well, they get together and what do? They chant, free Palestine, and then the woman hangs a flag and they arrest her. That's not exactly the way the big political rally was supposed to go. Things kind of went a bit sideways for them there. But yeah, so they I don't know how they're gonna have to fine tune that, but as long as Israel is genociding the Palestinians, I don't think that they get a whole lot of traction. And where did I just see this? This was something I didn't realize this. the very last trip, and I don't know how you could take a trip back then, because I think Malcolm X was a felon, but maybe they gave him a passport anyway. Very last trip Malcolm X ever took before he got shot and killed was a trip to Gaza. Gee whiz. Hey, Alexa, why was Malcolm X shot to death? Why was his house firebombed and why was he shot? Alexa, so you know this is not going well for them, and that's drives this thing. Where's my man's Nayib Bukele, president of El Salvador, recently was invited to the White House where he met Donald Trump, and Donald Trump had this to say.
Demanded the people wanted to change everything, and they wanted to. He demanded they love you, they love what you do. You know, I'm not feel supportive. I want him to do, you know, for homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right. It's not big enough. No, yeah. Come on. So this is a much different office than you're.
So he asked Bukele up to the White House. He says, you need to build more prisons down there because homegrowns are next. And so the idea that we're going to deport and exile people who criticize those who cannot be criticized, that's what Trump wants. And when AOC becomes president, on her way to becoming president, she will, of course, condemn it. But once she gets in the White House, once they put her in the White House, and I don't think they're going to put her in the White House with that fucking corpse, Bernie Sanders. But once she gets in the White House, she will cheerfully, you know, just like when Bush was president, he was drone striking Al Qaeda, and then they got rid of Bush and put Obama in. And when Obama got in, the drone strikes went up like 800%. So I would think that Trump will, you know, convince Bukele to build another super prison. They'll build it, and then AOC will fill it. That's almost certainly the way it's going to go. Like, I don't know for certain, but if I was a betting man, if I was to wager, that is what I would wager on. And the reason why is because all these people are completely fucking insane. I didn't notice this, and this is the point. I have to tell you, you know, the other thing that Trump is like beating up on Harvard and all Harvard, Columbia, all these schools. College is finished. If you're in college, drop out right now. Go to fucking welding school. Go do something else, like right now. Don't send your kids to college. What do you need? What do you need $600,000 in debt for? You know, it's completely not worth it. You have enough problems. You have enough debt problems, and you'll have enough hyperinflation problems in the future. That if college, you might as well fucking throw yourself off a fucking bridge. In the meantime, people who study video and who look at there is some value to watching the elites. There is some value to observing what they do. And because of selective attention, because I have a list of things that I think are important and I focus on them all the time, and there's stuff I invariably miss. Every human being does this, and that's why it's useful and more than useful to listen to other people and to try to get other points of view, even though superficially you might think this person has nothing to say or there's nothing of value to their viewpoint. You know what? Hear them out, and you might learn something that is very telling. And that is what the elites wake up to or look for every day.
No one's really talking about it, but the plastic surgery face is taking over Mar-a-Lago. Open the news and you'll see. These billionaires are all starting to have the same taste in women. Donald Trump Jr., ex-fiancée Kimberly Guilfoyle, Eric Trump's wife, Lara Trump, Jeff Bezos' fiancée Lauren Sanchez. They're all starting to look eerily alike. Sunken eyes, lifted brows, full lips, sharp jawlines, heavy contour in muddy tones, and those blindingly white veneers. It's a lot to take in. Lately, this look seems to be the go-to for rich guys at Mar-a-Lago, and that preference influence is slowly shaping mainstream beauty standards too. People online keep pointing it out. Like, if all these billionaire wives have that same face, is that what high society beauty is supposed to look like now? Maybe in their world, that face screams money and power. Maybe it's the ultimate flex. And whether they admit it or not, you can see the work they've had done. They don't seem to care about hiding it either. Zero shame, zero subtlety. When you add in those over-the-top smiles, the whole vibe gets kinda uncanny. It feels like we're shifting away from the Kardashian aesthetic and moving into this new boss woman look. So what do you think? Are you into this new wave of beauty?
I have no idea what the Kardashian aesthetic is. But that's spooky when you line them all up and you realize, Jesus Christ, they all like, does the richest guy pick what his wife looks like? And then they all just, monkey see, monkey do, right? It's monkey see, monkey do for everybody, and no matter what the cost, because to stay in that circle, to stay at that level, you will fucking do anything. And most people don't understand that. One of the guys, there's a guy who doesn't understand, his name is Dan Blitzerian. Daniel Blitzerian, whom he was born rich. I know a few things about this guy because he was like, back when I was on Twitter, he was a thing for a while. But Dan Blitzerian wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And I think he made it all the way through the training or something like that. And then he dropped out or whatever. And he never went back. And because his father's super rich, there was no consequences for him. But he became like this playboy kind of figure, and then he was a joke, like, yeah, listen, anybody can hire 10 or 12 fucking supermodels to stand next to him on a fucking boat, when your father's worth $200 million. I don't know how much he's worth. He's worth a lot of money. And he was kind of dismissed off of social media as a dopey rich guy who just wanted to make himself look good on social media. Then he discovered elite Jewish power, and he has since, he's actually been fairly articulate in pushing out information to normies who want to be the cool dude surrounded by hot bikini girls all the time. Like that, the manosphere crowd. I guess he still has some sway because he has the money for that lifestyle. But none of these people understand what they think they understand. And here's him criticizing somebody we all know and love, Dwayne Johnson. I don't really love him, but we all know and love. And here's what Dan Blitzerian, I will tell you what Dan Blitzerian doesn't understand at the other side. And when I tell you, it's going to be super obvious. But while you're listening to it, you're probably it's not going to be super obvious.
It's always funny to me to see guys like The Rock or whatever that's like still punching the narrative, still doing what he's told, still giving the speeches, like, who's your master? Like, what the are you doing? You got $400 million. Like, what the is wrong with you? Like, why are you answering to anybody? Like, why is anybody influencing what you say? Like, be your own person. You have enough. Like, when you get to a point where like you can't spend your money, the idea of like being a slave to money is crazy to me.
Okay, so Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, also they're talking about that guy being president. It could be Dwayne Johnson and AOC. Could be they could be the ticket. Who knows? If they think it'll sell, it'll sell. But Dan Blitzerian was born rich, and Dwayne Johnson was not really born rich. Dwayne Johnson's father was a pro wrestler. Back before pro wrestling was really as big as it is today. And then he got into pro wrestling after college. And of course, his father was on steroids. He's been on steroids since he was like 17. But understand, he got into the sports entertainment, the WWE. And of course, he's been in, I don't know how many films. I don't know that he's worth $400 million. That seems like a high figure. I don't think he's worth quite that much, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was worth 40. And here's what Dan Blitzerian, born rich, doesn't understand, right? When you're born to endless material wealth, you never had to work a day in your life. You never had to produce value in order to keep a roof over your head or food on your fucking table or clothes on your back. You never had to produce value. You grew up with a great deal of material prosperity, you say, well, hey, Dwayne Johnson, hey, Rock, why do you keep punching the narrative when you already have enough and you can't spend it all? And the reason why is because Dwayne Johnson came from like lower middle class background, and now he's rich. And all the people that brought him there through the decades, from the WWE through Hollywood and et cetera, and we all know who runs all this, right? Those people made him $40 million or $400 million or whatever the fuck he had. I had nothing. Now I am in the fucking, I have $40 million. And these people and their co-ethnics are responsible for it. They're the ones helping me. They're the ones picking the scripts. They're the ones showing me this. They're the ones showing me that. They're the ones making me look good on TV. So why would you ever want to leave that? Do you understand? These are the people that made you rich and famous, a worldwide celebrity. Of course you're going to fucking of course you're going to carry water for them. Of course you're going to fucking believe. You're just going to absorb what they say. They made you rich. You were nothing. They made you super fucking rich. Dan Blitzerian, who was born rich, doesn't understand that because he never had to work for it. Now, how hard did Dwayne Johnson work for it? I don't know. But listen, he did his wrestling thing and he did whatever. He goes out and he does what he's told and he gets paid what he gets paid. So you're going to be loyal to the people who made you, who gave you that fucking dream life. Like, how do you not understand that? No human being is better than their incentives. You have been incentivized, Dwayne Johnson, to behave this way, to do this job, to do that job, and you've gotten all these rewards. How could you possibly think the people that did that were bad? Like, just like everyone in the billionaire class, they don't see anything really wrong with the world. Michael Saylor doesn't see anything wrong. Like, oh yeah, there's some unpleasantness somewhere, but I live in a $50 million home in Miami, during the summer, and I don't like to think negative thoughts. So understand, if you come from nothing, right? And what's it, AOC also, you know what I mean? She's getting her shot to go from congressman to senator, from congressman to first female president. She's Spanish. She's a woman, right? It worked in Mexico. Maybe they can make it happen here in America. Like, they're throwing a lot of ideas up against the wall, and they're going to see what sticks. But you have to understand, if they made you, if you went from nothing to tens of millions of dollars in your, hundreds of millions of dollars, that's in your bank account, you're not going to turn your back on these people. You're not going to walk. Why would you ever walk away from that? Why the fuck would you? No human being would ever walk away from that. It would be fucking insane. It would be insane. So expecting that from someone else is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. All right, what else do I got? Two things. Okay, a couple things. Here's I'll do it. I'm going to name the stream this, but I decided at the last minute change it around. I try to make it happy and fun. UFC 314 just went off, and the co-main event was Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. I don't know if you know who they are. Paddy Pimblett's from Liverpool. He's from Liverpool. He's English, and Michael Chandler's American. And this is a 39-second video of round 3, the final round in the fight, and the message in it is pretty clear.
This is how you punish predictable movement in MMA. Throughout the fight, Chandler was struggling to close the distance against Paddy. Chandler's signature way to enter into range is to use what's called a shift, where he shifts his stance mid-combo to try and close the distance. But Paddy was shutting down any attempts of this. In the third round, Chandler tries to shift, but it gets shut down by a kick. As Chandler shifts again, notice how he tends to dip his head while shifting. Knowing this, as Paddy remains patient, he waits for Chandler to shift. This time, as Chandler shifts, Paddy explodes into a knee knee, creating a cut on Chandler's face and rocking him. As Patty continues the pressure, he eventually slams Chandler to the mat, dominates him on the ground, and eventually gets the finish.
Yeah, that knee to the head, that ended the fight. Michael Chandler, God bless him. He must have a fucking neck muscles like steel, and like phenomenal condition, just iron fucking will. But you catch a knee to the head, the fight's largely over. Almost nobody comes back. Nobody comes back from a knee to the head and wins the fight. But the video is talking about punishing predictability, right? If your opponent is doing something predictable, here's how to punish it. Here's how to take advantage of it. And if the central bankers who run the world economy are predictable, and they are, we know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. Then you should punish them, right? And the way I punish them, of course, is to get rid of their government money and buy Bitcoin. And that is the way to punish them. Do not participate in their economic system as much as you can get away from it. Get away from it. So, and that's, who's that? Enoch Powell, that famous English politician. I don't know if he's from Liverpool, like Paddy Pimblett is, but he said, it is the responsibility of government to solve foreseeable problems. Well, it's the responsibility of you as an individual to solve the foreseeable problems in your life. And if you're looking at an economic system where you have to work an entire lifetime for something that another man can print for free, right? Just by pressing a fucking button. Just by pressing a button, right? Pressing a button.
We print it digitally, so
you have to work your entire life for them for that, right? And you tolerate that you accept that, and you think, oh, we'll just put a different set of jerk-offs in charge of the money printer. There's people much better than Jerome Powell. There's these guys.
Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like must have on a beat, bro, deep boat in the back. He a freak though, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell him breathe.
So if you're comfortable, working forever, working your entire lifetime for what another man can print for free, and you want your children to have that future and your grandchildren to have that future, and you think that, this is the best possible outcome, you don't fucking belong here. You really don't belong here, okay? You belong somewhere else. You really, really, really belong somewhere else. There was something else I was going to say that has currently slipped my mind, but I will get back to it. So the principle of punishing predictability works in combat sports, and it works in other aspects of life. If you know what's going to happen before it happens, you can take advantage of it. Now, the political nature of the UFC, I've mentioned this over and over and over. The route to the White House, the route to political power is through mixed martial arts. I'm not the only one who's noticed it.
This photo of the president at a UFC fight on Saturday while the economy is literally collapsing is the exact same energy as his painting of Roman Emperor Commodus. Whenever historians talk about the fall of Rome, he's the first guy they talk about. Commodus, like the president, was born rich, son of a powerful man, and both were led by their dads to run the family business. Commodus called himself a god and made statues of himself as Hercules. The president slaps his name on literally anything and calls himself the American savior. Commodus gave free grain and gladiator games to win the crowd and bash the elites. The president promised cheap everything and made public servants enemies. Commodus ruled by fear and distrust of the Senate. The president threatens anyone that disagrees with him. Both Commodus and the president attacked the systems meant to limit their power. Commodus fought staged arena battles. The president turned politics into a reality show. So both understood the power of performance. Maybe this just isn't a vibe thing. Kind of feels like history is echoing right now. Rome didn't fall in a day. It fell while the crowds were cheering.
Okay, so the guy's only right for like the first 10 seconds. Roman emperors used the games to gain control of popular sentiment, and that's why Donald Trump goes to UFC events, and that's why Mark Zuckerberg goes to UFC events. And this is not going to change anytime soon. But that guy just, I hate Trump, blah 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 blah. I don't give a fuck if you hate Trump, because he doesn't understand. Trump is a puppet doing what other people tell him to do. But the empire runs a certain way, and you can like it or you can fucking not like it. But I suggest to you, you find a way to punish what is predictable. And if you don't want to punish what's predictable, then what are you even doing here, right? If you don't want to punish what's predictable, this is you.
Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga.
Right? That's what you want for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren. And like I said, if that's you, you don't fucking belong here. You really do not fucking belong here. This is not a this is not a show for the fucking faint of heart, or those who are trying to figure out a better way to fucking to improve their lives by licking boots. Go ahead and do that. But you're not welcome here. You're not. If I could kick you off, I would kick you off. All right. Lastly, I mentioned last week the Secretary of the Treasury, a guy named Scott Bessent. I thought he said this when he was Treasury Secretary. He did not say this when he was Treasury Secretary. This was like right before. So this is like less than a year ago. He was at, I think, the Manhattan Institute, some boring finance bro conference, right? I like just, and you'll see in the video that I have actually clipped it. I actually had to fucking cut it down to a much longer video. You'll see in the video that it's not super slickly produced. This is like money dorks, money fucking nerds conference. But I mentioned that Bessent talked about Bretton Woods, and he did more than that. And I got some thoughts on what he says on the other side of this. But it's kind of telling. Mind you, Bessent, I'm almost 100% certain, is a member of the tribe. But here's about 50 seconds of Scott Bessent having a big think on the world economy.
Markets for 40 years. I actually think I'm starting to look like it now. I think we're also at a unique moment geopolitically. I could see in the next few years that we are going to have some kind of a grand global economic reordering. It was something on the equivalent of a new Bretton Woods, or if you want to go back, like something back to the steel agreements or the Treaty of Versailles. There's a very good chance that we are going to have to have that over the next 4 years, and I'd like to be a part of it. I've studied this.
For those unaware, Bretton Woods was an international.
Okay, so this was just before the elections. Near the end, he says, there's a very good chance in the next 4 years, we're going to have some grand global agreement. Really? What do you know that we don't know? Well, there's nothing he knows that Bitcoiners don't know. But why would you think there needs to be a grand reordering of the global economic system? Why would you think that, right? Like, what the fuck would cause you to think that? One, because Bretton Woods, which was the US dollar linked to gold and everyone else accepts the dollar because you could redeem it for gold. That was the post-war agreement. That fell apart. Then we went to the petrodollar, that crude oil would only be sold for dollars, not for euros, not for yen, not for any other currency. But now that agreement's fallen apart. And now we need to do something different in the next few years, because if the dollar's not anchored to something, we got a fucking problem. Okay, why would you hold it? Where was the one I showed earlier? Where was the one? This, right? Rich people don't like uncertainty. They want certainty. They don't take risks. They only collect rewards. Okay. And stories like this was from Market Watch. US dollar's role as the de facto global reserve currency is looking uncertain, and rich people do not like uncertainty. They want it to go exactly as they fucking planned, and that's that. Now, one of the interesting, the thing that after I listened to that a few times, what Bassett said, he started out saying Bretton Woods agreement. Then he said the steel agreements. Then he said the Treaty of Versailles, or the Versailles and then steel agreements. And what's interesting about all three of those political events were, first off, the Treaty of Versailles was the economic reparations, the economic punishment the Allies imposed on Germany after World War I. That was the Treaty of Versailles. You have to pay us back, blah, 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 blah. And that drove Germany to hyperinflation and all sorts of ruin. Then he talked about the steel agreements, which I didn't even know existed. But in the 20s, the Western powers got together and decided on what the price of steel would be, because steel was important to industrialization. And they wanted to keep a steady supply and, whatever, like they wanted to keep the prices level so that they could do whatever they wanted to do. Germany balked at this. Germany did not like this because Germany wanted to rearm and they wanted more steel than they were allowed. So interesting, the Treaty of Versailles and the steel agreements both relate to Germany, and of course Bretton Woods. Post World War II, after Germany is defeated, we come up with another economic agreement. So where are we today in 2025? Germany is no longer an economic superpower. It's the most powerful country in Europe economically, but they're not a bad actor. They're completely submissive to the globalist agenda. So Germany's not the bad guy, even though in America there's Hitler behind every blade of grass. The reality is Germany's playing along with everybody and everything. So who's the new bad actor? The new bad actor is who I started the show out with. It's China. China's not going along with things. China's going to kill the luxury brands in America. China's going to shut off American high tech and American weaponry. The new Germany is really China. Okay. And so whether Bassett is like unconsciously, I don't know how he thinks about this, but he's mentioning the importance of a new economic framework in the context of, from the position of the central bankers, a bad actor, Germany, right? But now who's the bad actor today? The bad actor is China. The bad actor, the naughty one who will not go along with the program is China. And that's super interesting to me. Super, whether Bassett knows it or not, whether he's missing it because his selective attention is like I don't think he sees the German aspect of it. I don't think he sees Nazis under his bed, but he, being a market dude for 40 years, these grand agreements and how it shaped global trade, is important. He thinks of himself as a historian. He's like, well, I'd like to be part of that. Well, you are part of that, Scotty. You're Secretary of the Treasury. So you've got it. However, here's the thing. China loses, right? And the reason why China loses, the reason why China lost in the 1800s was because China, when the world moved to a gold standard, China moved to a silver standard. A lot of people don't know that. China said, fuck the West, fuck the gold standard. We're not doing it. We're going to base everything on silver, and down it went. Also, they had no good incentive structure. But that aside, here's why China's going to lose. Here's why China's going to lose. Here's why China is going to lose. China selling seized crypto to top up coffers as economy slows. Reuters says that China is selling something like 15,000 Bitcoin. They sold all this Bitcoin that they seized from criminals. And you got to remember the 2016 China FUD, when China kicked all the Bitcoin miners out of China, said you can't mine here anymore. They didn't really kick all of them out, but they kicked the ones without political connections out. Like, you ain't paying off the right dudes. So you got to go. And the Bitcoin hash rate, the amount of power going into mine Bitcoin, dropped by like 40%. And everybody's like, it's over, Bitcoin's over, it's finished because China kicked out the miners. That's not true. The miners just went elsewhere and Bitcoin kept moving on. But China's going to choose gold. They're going to choose, if you look at what China does infrastructure-wise, highways, railroads, blah, 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 the nuclear power plants, they're going to go to the rest of the world, right? All the South America, Africa, et cetera, and say, we're China, we'll build you roads, we'll build you airports, we'll build you hospitals, we'll do this and that for you, blah, 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 blah. Because in the physical world, China dominates. And people are going to be like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Plus, we don't have to march in a gay pride parade. So what the fuck? Come on in and do our roads, hospitals, infrastructure, whatever, power plants. But the problem is China will choose gold and their own digital currency. And that is why they will fail, because at the end of the fucking day, you working your entire life for something another man can print for free isn't going to work. And the Chinese are no better than anyone else. No human being is better than their incentives. A bitter lesson, hard to fucking learn, but that's the truth. And so ultimately, America is going to win because we chose Bitcoin earlier. For whatever reason, we stumbled onto it. And China is going to do the opposite. Rather than compete with us in order to base their economy on Bitcoin, they're going to base it on something else, and that's where they're going to lose. Eventually, they're going to either they're either going to become I'm losing my voice here. They will submit to corruption. They will just submit to it. They will be seduced by corruption as we run the entire world and let's make ourselves even richer, or something else, or we'll throw a spanner in the works, but or a combination of the two. I don't know, but that's ultimately what's going to happen. That is ultimately going to happen, and America is going to win. However, is America going to look? What's America going to look like in the future? That we don't know, because Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck about you or your politics or any of that shit. And it's the reason why Bitcoin's going to win over everything is because the incentive structure of Bitcoin is for anyone that comes in and follows the rules gets rewarded. And everyone gets the same reward at the same time. Even though you got guys like Michael Saylor, every time Michael Saylor, you see, oh, Michael Saylor bought 20,000 Bitcoins. Well, that's 20,000 people who will never own one Bitcoin because Saylor ain't never selling. There's some issues with that, but game theory out far enough, it will ultimately boomerang. However, this is in the near term, America versus China is going to be super interesting, and I don't know how it gets. In the long run, I know America wins, but America doesn't win because we're morally superior or we're smarter. We happen to pick the right economic course in the long run, and China will not. And for everybody who thinks that they're so smart, well, if you got so much money, why do you keep going along with those people? Because those people made you rich, and they keep you rich. That's why, right? You don't turn your back on your friends. You don't stab your friends in the back. That's what gay communists do. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure that you would do that. That's why nobody likes you, and you have no friends, and women will come near you. But and you try and sell a bullshit story. We're a third positionist. We're a nationalist. If you just do X, Y, and Z, and there's 3 possible outcomes. You could be a noticer, you could be a red pillar, or you can have a career as a unity caller, or whatever stupid fucking faggotry. Understand, if you want people to do shit, there needs to be an incentive system that's worth it to people to do shit. Okay? Cultures and civilizations that flourished, for whatever time they flourished, it was worth working for whoever. And when it stopped being worth it, it all fucking fell apart. That's what you prefer not to fucking think about because you have this fucking fairy tale in your mind of how you think human nature is going to be perfected through whatever dumb shit you think it's, whatever dumb shit you choose to believe in. But nobody fucking cares. Like, nobody cares. You could call yourself Bozo the Clownism, and as long as you fucking paid people enough, they would, you know what? They wear big red shoes and a nose and a fucking funny wig, and they would do whatever you want. They would fucking fly airplanes and do brain surgery and fill potholes, and they wouldn't give a fuck if you paid them. Okay? So all of your ideas, like I've said in the past, suck. And if you don't have the ability to incentivize the behavior you want, you have no ability in the long run. In the long run. Okay, so where are we at? We're 1 hour and 11 minutes. Huge monster stream. Hippity hop, it's Easter. Which is, by the way, the Easter Bunny doesn't exist. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Hate to break the news to you, but the Easter Bunny does not exist. Hitler's not coming back to rescue you. Santa's not going to bring you a planet full of dead elites anytime soon. You're going to have to rescue yourself. And you don't want to hear that, but it's true. Anyway, what do we got for comments? We have only one comment. Only one comment. I'm in tears. I worked so hard for this. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. Virgil Doc, I know, will smash the like button. However, some of you need to be reminded that you need to smash up the like button, because it makes the pricks who fucking run Google actually have to come down to a channel with 62 fucking subscribers and delete shit. So make them earn their fucking paychecks. Punish their predictability. That is what I would tell you. And so if you have a good idea of what's going to come in the future, then you can prepare for it. You can punish their predictability, and I suggest you do so. Anyway, with that, I will leave you until next week. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and don't go to a Bitcoin conference, and don't get in a bouncy castle going to space. Whatever. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week.